What's happening, everybody? It's your boys, Hunter and Brett, back again for another episode of the Real Rendezvous podcast. Hunter, what are we doing here, man?
Are you talking about my moves over here?
Well, just in general. What are we doing here?
What we're here to discuss movies.
Yes.
And review them, and because we are movie reviewers, but first and foremost, movie enjoyers.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully
you
said.
You like how I did that?
Yeah, that was nice. Slap that on a t-shirt.
Wow, that would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah. Tell us in the comments if you would buy a t-shirt that said that.
Maybe even like if it was a nice back print, just the Real Rendezvous logo on the front.
You know, maybe a mug. Maybe that's better suited for a mug.
Are we mug people?
Well, I mean, I got a good few mugs that I like.
Too. I guess I am.
I got a Beatles mug and a Spider-Man mug that I like a lot.
A Beatles mug?
Yeah, the band.
You listen to the Beatles?
No, my old theater teacher gave them to me.
Oh, thank God. Thank God you don't listen to the Beatles.
Back in the USSR is a banger, but that's the only one.
I've never heard that song.
And Hey Jude's all right.
I've only heard that one because it's very prominent in the Dark Tower.
Honestly, you know what? Never mind. No Beatles slander. They got some bangers. I won't lie.
The Beatles has one good song, and it was outdone by somebody else who covered it. Come Together.
That's crazy.
Aerosmith covered it, and they did it better. Aerosmith, also another band with no good songs.
Well, damn. Coming for the throats of the Beatles and Aerosmith fans out there.
Zero riffs from the Beatles or Aerosmith. You heard it here first.
Well, I will say, I did not know that Come Together was a Beatles song. I thought it was just the rock people.
No, I think they originally wrote it.
Oh.
Yep. Well. Anyways, I'll tell you what we didn't come here for was to talk about music.
No. We will later. We'll talk a little.
We probably will.
We'll talk about music a little later.
Anyways,
in a different context.
What are we here for?
It's what I asked you, but since you're asking me,
that's not what you meant. Is that what you meant?
Well, I mean, it could have led there. I was
stupid. Okay.
No, you're all right. It's fine. We all fumble sometimes.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, guys. Deadpool and Wolverine. We're covering another recent one.
This movie has to be reviewed.
It has to be.
We got
to.
We got to do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Deadpool and Wolverine. It released on my birthday.
Yes.
July 26th.
Happy belated birthday to Hunter.
Happy birthday to me. This movie was directed by Shawn Levy. Mm-hmm. He's a Ryan Reynolds old head. They're buddies. They worked together on The Atom Project. And also there was another movie, too, that they worked together on. And I cannot recall what it was.
It's Free Guy.
Free Guy, yeah. Free Guy.
I don't like Free Guy. That's why I said it like that.
I have not seen either of those movies. They both looked very, not my type of movie.
The Atom Project is actually really solid.
Yeah, I did hear that.
I really enjoyed The Atom Project. Free Guy is immensely disappointing.
Is there some action in Atom Project? Is it action-y?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
There's more action in Free Guy, but it's done better in The Atom Project.
Okay. The Atom Project, is it kind of like a heartwarming,
very
preteen kind of action adventure type?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Not my style.
No, I don't know. I think you enjoy The Atom Project.
Maybe. The Atom Project is just it's like how Hugh Jackman had Real Steel. That's Ryan Reynolds' Real Steel is Atom Project.
No, Ryan Reynolds' Real Steel is every other movie he's been in that's not Deadpool.
That's not true, because he was like a rom-com guy for a while. Like The Proposal.
That's what makes me laugh so much about how hard people go in on Green Lantern. Everything else he's done is so fantastic in comparison.
Yeah, he's probably really not been in any other great movies.
If you really think about it, we love Ryan Reynolds in this house. This is no shade to Ryan Reynolds. We love Ryan Reynolds in this house. If you really take a look at the numbers he puts up in his projects that are not Deadpool related, he doesn't have a great track record.
Dude, he was the best thing in Blade Trinity.
He was still in Blade Trinity.
Which, yes, so. You're right. Anyways, directed by Shawn Levy, Ryan Reynolds' buddy. Starring Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Matthew McFadden. I think it's pronounced McFadden. There's a Y thrown in there.
Yeah, I thought it was McFadden, but...
Starring Matthew McFadden. I probably could have looked up some pronunciation.
Take your pick, guys.
You guys don't really care. Plus many more actors that we'll probably get to here.
A lot of people in this one.
When we review this movie. which we're doing right now.
Who was Cassandra?
Oh, yes. Emma Corrin.
Okay.
Did you see what else she has been in recently?
You talked about something she did when we were there, but I don't remember.
There was something very popular that she had been in recently. Ooh, I think she's from The Crown.
I think that's what. Yeah, you said that.
But the show that I want to watch, man, this was like something I told me and Alyssa because we love a good like whodunit murder mystery type movie, and she was. Let me find her here. She was in this show that was a Hulu miniseries, I believe. It was called Murder at the End of the World.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and it was about a bunch of people like at some like ski resort, and they die, and she's trying to figure out who did it.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, but anyways, Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. This movie's budget was $200 million. Insane amount of money. Chump change to Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, you can almost pay Robert Downey Jr. to make a cameo in your movie with that kind of money.
This movie has already grossed worldwide $496 million.
And it's still going. Because it came out on... Okay, so as of the time of recording this, it is currently Tuesday. This movie came out... on Friday,
July 26th.
So it's been like 5 days.
Yes, it has. Sorry, I was drinking while Brett was scratching.
That's okay. So yeah, 5 days and this thing already has profited, and it's not stopping.
Look, we all knew this was going to happen.
Definitely.
Marvel knew that they could put all their eggs in this basket. As soon as that trailer dropped during the Super Bowl, everybody knew this was the movie.
Oh yeah,
for the MCU. Like, and I'll just go ahead and say it. There's no spoilers here, like with what I'm going to review. But this was like the best thing, at least film-wise, feature film-wise, that the MCU has put out, basically since No Way Home. Like,
maybe.
What else do we have since then?
I'm trying to think. Since No Way Home, it might just be the Marvels, actually.
That was it?
No, it definitely couldn't have been.
No, there's had to.
Well, a lot of post No Way Home was TV shows. So trying to pick out the movies is difficult for my brain because I just kind of lump it all together.
Yeah,
like all the projects.
You are right about that.
So trying to pick out specifically what film wise came out it's difficult for me right now.
Well, I'm wanting to continue to ramble.
And Quantumania came out. I know that Quantumania, the Marvels, Love and Thunder was post No Way Home.
So you had Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in 2022, Love and Thunder in 2022, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever 2022. You had Quantumania in 2023, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 2023.
It's not better than Guardians 3.
Okay. Well, and I shouldn't have made that statement.
Sorry about it.
Well, that's fine. I shouldn't have made that statement for myself, which I'm actually embarrassed to say this. I have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3
That's crazy.
Dude, and if you ask me, like, gun to my head what my favorite MCU movie is, I'm saying the OG Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
That
the
movie
Guardians
is insane.
Consistently are the best thing to come out of the MCU.
Talking about our last
some
podcast,
of the best stuff.
Our last podcast, whenever we were talking about, like, you know, the rise and fall of the MCU basically over the last 15 years, peak MCU, like, the Guardians of the Galaxy came out of absolutely
nowhere.
Like, who the fuck knew who any of those characters
what a hilarious niche for a director to have, by the way. Imagine being, like, the guy that takes characters no one cares about and makes them cool.
Right?
Like, what a hilariously specific job description that is. And yet, he's fantastic at it every time.
Shout out James Gunn.
Fucking shout out James Gunn,
you
dog.
Knew it was coming.
You did. We worked it. Even when it doesn't apply, we find a way to get one in there.
100%. 110%. Anyways, back over here on Deadpool and Wolverine. It's good. This film was scored by Rob.
Yeah, review's over. It was good. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to catch us on any socials,
scored by composer Rob Simonson. That is basically all I wrote for the setup there. I will get to the plot that I'm never prepared to read.
Hunter said, and if you guys watch us, you know this, but if you're new coming into this review does have spoilers. The statement Hunter made a few seconds ago where he said no spoilers here, he meant the sentence he was about to say did not contain spoilers.
Yes.
This review contains heavy spoilers.
You should always know
for this. Like I
we
said,
discuss spoilers here.
like I said, if you've been around the Real Rendezvous block, you know that. But this is a pretty big movie. I imagine a few newcomers might, just like looking for different opinions, might sort of stroll by.
I don't know how some of the big like YouTube reviewers do it and do a spoiler-free review of a movie like this.
Right? Especially of one like this.
And talk about it longer than 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. But so if you are new here, major spoilers ahead for Deadpool and Wolverine.
So, Deadpool is offered a place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by the Time Variance Authority. Excuse me. But instead recruits a variant of Wolverine to save his own universe from extinction. Excuse me again. Anyways,
Sorry, guys. He's nervous.
That sums up the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine, roughly. So in this movie, like the plot line says there, Deadpool is in search of a Wolverine because he happened to be in the same universe as the Wolverine from 2017's Logan. When he died in that film, like Brett said, we are all spoilers from here on out. It's happening. When he died in that film, it disrupted his entire universe and was going to cause the extinction of said universe. In order to try and fix that, he went scouring all the other universes for the perfect Wolverine to bring back to his to fix things. That ends up getting them banished to the void, and then the movie is about them still trying to return to Deadpool's universe to save his universe because, he's got 9 people that he cares about, and that's it. And they happen to be in that universe.
Yes.
So, anyways.
Only the 9. Fuck you, Domino.
Yeah, fuck everybody. Yeah.
Fuck Domino. Fuck Cable. They weren't invited.
Like, yeah. So.
But fucking Shatterstar gets to be in the 9-person Polaroid.
I know. I like the other 2 characters better. Anyways. So one thing that I actually haven't even said to you that I do enjoy about this movie a lot is how it starts off very similar to the original Deadpool with its non-linear storytelling.
Yes.
Which fits the whole Time Variance Authority stuff in general.
Yes.
I do like that a lot.
Pretty much every Deadpool actually begins non-linearly.
Does Deadpool 2?
Yes, it does. Yes.
Wow, so it's a staple for the franchise.
Because Deadpool 2 opens with him killing himself, and then he's like, "Well, let me let you in on how we got here."
Yeah, it does. Wow. See, I had intentions of rewatching that one as well before this, but I forgot. But I digress. I love that about the franchise. I think that's cool.
Yes, I do like that it's something, despite having a different director for each movie, I do like that has sort of been a through line with the way these stories are told.
And they're still at their heart pretty simplistic stories. I think that gives them a little bit of some red flag, Toro, like bull stuff, smoke and mirrors. It helps it pretend that it's smarter than it is. Because at the end of the day, it's really not that smart. But I do enjoy that about the plot. And even for somebody that has not watched Loki, I'm totally unfamiliar with the Time Variance Authority. We get caught up quickly.
Yeah.
And it gets explained to people like me in a way that's really easy to consume.
That being said, please watch Loki.
Yeah,
guys, Loki is so fucking good.
I know everybody says it's like if there's anything of all of the half-assed
if
MCU TV shows.
If you had to choose just one of those shows to watch,
that's
it
the one.
absolutely should be Loki.
So I apologize for being that guy.
Loki remains untouched.
I'll get on it. I'll get it on as soon as possible.
No, he won't.
Wow. Anyways, so like I said, that happens, and they get bounced around from Earth. Which one is Deadpool on?
I don't remember what it was called.
Whatever.
It's a number. It doesn't matter.
Okay, Harrison Ford.
Just call it the Fox universe.
So Deadpool is part of the Fox universe, and he gets bounced to the Void. And then we end up in a montage at one point going to a bunch of several different universes. Anyways, I'm trying to segue into this film's setting and set design and everything, and I think it's pretty cool. I think it's cool.
Yes.
I like the interiors of the Time Variance Authority. I like that Deadpool calls it scary retro sci-fi.
Yeah.
graphics or something like that. I like all the different things that we get to see with the Wolverine montage.
Yes.
And I specifically think the Void looks cool, if only because he says it's very Mad Maxy.
Yeah. So, and one of the coolest parts about the Void, I think, and I don't know if this was true for Loki. I'm unsure of if this is true for the Loki series. I am sure it's true for this movie. The Void is entirely practical.
Oh, really?
That's where all those set photos came from. When we first saw the suit, it was because all of the Void stuff they were filming was on location. They built, like that 20th Century Fox logo that's buried in the sand.
That's real?
That is a physical set piece that they built and filmed in front of. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Now, I will say, Ant-Man's giant corpse is not practical. That is not a set that they built. But a lot of the and the big the caravan of vehicles, that was all practical. That they were driving through. I don't think it's a real desert. I think they had to make, because it's obviously not real sand. It's like a very light, white, dusty sand. Yeah,
it's all filmed in the UK, and it was filmed in Vancouver a lot too. Ryan Reynolds probably
right at home.
Yeah, but still, yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so a lot of the Void stuff was practical, which I always appreciate in a movie. It cost them some big reveals, right? You know, we knew about Sabretooth, we knew about Wolverine's suit, but honestly, I think it's a small price to pay for something feeling authentic on screen.
Right.
Which it all did.
And I love the entire environment of what the Void was. Like you said, I hadn't watched Loki, so...
sorry.
I was just going to say, and you can elaborate because I can't think of the fucking thing's name right now. I didn't know anything about the dragon.
Eliath.
Yes. I didn't know about that. Was caught up to speed with that really easily. And then the Void gave us not only a great opportunity for some awesome character introductions / reintroductions, but a way to do it very funny too.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm going to kind of move into the characters of the movie. We already know the two big ones, Deadpool and Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman. We get more of what you get from Ryan Reynolds in every single fucking movie he's ever been in.
Yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds is doing his shtick, and he's doing it as well as he always does.
Yeah, it's a great tried and true formula. I do think that he gets unleashed, like you were saying you were worried about before this movie came out. He doesn't get reined in any by other directors, like how he was by Tim Miller in the first Deadpool. I do think he gets to run rampant with what he wants to do. With that said, it still works.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be.
Right.
It was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
I was very pleased with it still, not being too over the top in that aspect.
I think some of the reason why that's the case is because I think Hugh Jackman is having a lot of fun.
Dude, Hugh Jackman steals every fucking scene he's in this movie.
Yeah, you can tell.
He is giving Ryan Reynolds a run for his fucking money in this thing.
I thought Hugh Jackman was the funniest character in the movie.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah. He has this super angry, super gruff version of Wolverine that he's portraying. And he says fuck a lot, and it's really funny.
Dude, his whole speech in the car chills every time.
Dude, he just looks like... Have you seen the movie Prisoners with him in it?
No.
Okay, it's an awesome movie. Denis Villeneuve directed it. And he plays as a dad whose daughter is kidnapped, and he's trying to find his daughter. And in that movie, he has some sequences where he's just absolutely imploding angry.
Yeah.
And it's like the car scene that you were just talking about.
Yeah, so there's a scene roughly halfway.
Yeah, I'd call it the halfway.
There's a scene about halfway through the movie where the whole reason Deadpool gets Wolverine to come on this adventure with him is because Wolverine is informed that because he joined Deadpool in the first place, which he didn't really, he passed out, but the TVA is going to eliminate this Wolverine's universe as well. And Deadpool's like, no. If you help me out, they'll fix your world and you can keep it. And then halfway through the movie, he finds out that Deadpool does not know that for a fact. He made an educated wish, which I thought was really funny. I thought that was a really funny way to phrase it.
What the fuck is an educated wish? You did what?
You what? A fucking educated wish? And he just Hugh Jackman lets him have it. Like, this shit came from his soul.
You said he passed out earlier. You must include that he passed out due to excessive amounts of alcohol he consumed.
Yes. He
is a raging alcoholic.
Yes, so this version of Wolverine that we are plucking from his universe is a washed up drunkard.
It's actually really funny.
Yeah.
Like whenever he first meets Deadpool, and Deadpool like gets serious and like threatens him.
Yes.
He just laughs and says, "Okay, watch this," and then just polishes off a fifth of whiskey,
and then just passes out.
It's hilarious.
Another great line in that moment when he puts the gun up to his head. Unless you want to take a deep breath through your fucking forehead.
Yeah, I love that, man.
Banger.
I think Ryan Reynolds is in his bag with like the one-liners in this one.
Yes. But the scene I was referring to, they're in the car. Wolverine finds out he's been duped, and he lets Deadpool fucking have it, dude. It's like a 2-minute long speech about how fucking awful Deadpool is as a person. And Hugh Jackman brings it. And even people on set came out and they were like, no, you guys don't fully understand how impressive that performance is. There was a tweet I just read before we came down here of someone who was on set and got to meet him. And he was like, that person you see in this clip does not exist. Like, this is not a state for Hugh Jackman that he has ever been in naturally.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show just like how well he can channel those emotions. And also just like, he's so fucking brutal, man.
Just so intense.
I wish I could say you die alone, but that's God's biggest joke is that you can't die. Except it's on all of us.
Fucking die.
And he's punching, and he's punching like, he's pissed. Dude, Hugh Jackman is just a fucking generational talent. He could do this shit in his sleep, man.
Yeah. It will be sad the day that they end up replacing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
It'll be the end of an era.
For sure. So we must move forward with the other characters.
Yes.
So once in the void, we come across I'd say she's the primary antagonist of the movie.
Yeah.
Cassandra Nova. She is Charles Xavier's long lost sister?
Yes.
Okay, she was in the womb. She's bald too.
Yes, it's genetic.
Yeah, but anyways, so she's kind of like the person that runs the roost in the void. And she's a pretty imposing bad guy. The effects that they do anytime she is in somebody's head. So she's not quite as good as her brother Charles. She has to come in contact with someone to be able to manipulate them and get inside their head. And every time it uses this like special effect that shows her fingers like protruding through their skull and like out their eyeballs.
It is disgusting.
Really gross.
But looks fantastic. Yeah. Kudos to the VFX artists that were in charge of Cassandra Nova's powers, because it looks phenomenal.
And she has her moments too herself, being really snarky and quick-witted.
No, I really liked her. I think Cassandra Nova, she worked for me extremely well. Like I was telling you, I think Emma Corrin.
Yes.
I think this is the first thing I've ever seen her in. I think she's doing a fantastic job. Also, she is so pretty.
She is pretty.
We haven't talked about some attractive women on the show in a while. Emma Corrin.
We were due for one.
Emma Corrin, she pulls off the bald thing.
Yeah, she looks good.
No one else. She looks good in this movie.
Have you ever heard of Sinead O'Connor?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Channeling her Sinead O'Connor.
Yes.
Was it you that said
Speaking of Sinead O'Connor, they make a joke about her in Deadpool, the first one.
Oh, yeah, because of Negasonic. Yeah. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Was it you that was saying that, like, it's almost like you hated that Cassandra Nova was in this movie because it was like a waste of a good bad guy?
I never said that.
Okay, because I wonder who it was that I heard say that.
I have seen that sentiment. It's sort of like the Kang problem they had with Ant-Man. It's like, what? So this is supposed to be our like big bad, and fucking Ant-Man got him. We wasted him in Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So I've seen that sentiment thrown around.
Maybe I just read it online.
That's where I mean, someone definitely could have said that to you, but I've seen that online. But I personally did not say that. I think she was honestly pretty perfect to be used in this movie, because she's definitely a character that no one knows about.
Right.
I didn't know about her until this movie was announced that she would be the bad guy, and then I started doing my research on her. Dad had never even heard of her, and he's like the fucking X-Men guy.
Yeah.
You know, she's a fairly recent character. I think she was introduced in like 2012, which isn't like
okay.
super recent technically, but like for like comic fans,
For comic lore purposes, yeah.
For like people that would be being used in movies, like she's fairly new to the scene. And I think this was a perfect way to use her because she's a character not many people would know about. I think having her live in the void is like sort of poetic because she's sort of within the culture of the comics right now lives in the void. Like she had like one major story that she was a part of and they did not do anything else with her as far as I can tell from my research.
From the comic lore.
Yeah. So I think she was used perfectly here.
I think that she fit the bill as well with the way she was portrayed by Emma Corrin. I thought there's, like I said, she was snarky and quick-witted and had some funny moments herself with some things that she said.
And I love she's a very chaotic villain.
Yes.
Her motives are unclear. She's mostly doing this shit for fun.
Yes,
she just
100%.
likes being a dick.
She's like when Michael Caine as Alfred says some
men just want to watch the world burn. Yeah, she gains nothing really from the stuff that she does. She truly just is in it for the culture.
Yeah. She's a vibes girl.
You gotta respect it. You gotta respect a mustache twirling bad guy sometimes.
Now, once in the void, this is the meat and potatoes of the review here.
Yes.
We are introduced to other characters, and everybody's calling them cameos. They are cameos, but I think for the most part,
I'd say supporting cast.
they're not cameos.
No.
These characters get a decent hunk of screen time.
Yeah, they're integral to the plot.
100%.
Like Happy Hogan in this movie is a cameo.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But these guys we're about to talk about, they're characters. They are a part of this movie. But I will say I do understand the confusion in sort of how to refer to them, because obviously, like, their goal of being in this movie is not because they're integral to the plot. They're integral to the plot because they needed to be cameos. Sort of like.
It could have been.
If that sentence made any sense.
It could have been any random group of. It didn't even have to be MCU, Marvel. It didn't have to be character. It could have been just some ragtag group of rebels.
Yeah.
But anyways, what we're alluding to is once in the void, Wolverine and Deadpool, after coming into some blows amongst each other, they meet Cassandra Nova and then they escape her compound, and then later run into a group of rebels. And
They're kidnapped by this group of rebels. They're unconscious, and one of the main members of the team steals their car.
They get in their second fight.
Yes, yes.
We'll get to that in a minute, too.
I'm going to fight you now.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, too. Both fights. But, so this group of rebels is comprised of Daphne Keane as X-23, Jennifer Garner as Elektra, Wesley Snipes makes his fucking return.
Snipes
as Blade. Dude,
what in the world?
I was losing my fucking mind. I talk about Blade like at least once a day.
Of things of cameos that no one thought were ever possible.
Right?
Wesley Snipes' Blade has always been the top of that fucking list, and somehow, because you got to think about all the shit that all the baggage Wesley Snipes' Blade brings with him, right? One, the legal trouble he was in recently. I don't know how recent, but
he was in like jail for like tax evasion.
But even aside from that, Wesley Snipes fucking hated doing the last two Blade movies.
Yes.
He fucking hates Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds doesn't like him that much either. Again, because of the Blade movies. So him signing on and coming back and kind of, like, it doesn't even feel like he's phoning it in.
No, I thought he
felt very natural.
I thought of all of these the ragtag rebel group.
Yeah.
He was my favorite one because I'm just biased.
Yeah.
Like, I love Blade. I love Wesley Snipes' Blade. How we view Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, that's how I view Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Yeah. Maybe he'll be Magneto.
Maybe. Anyways, but Wesley Snipes' Blade was insane. And then
this one
we got
Channing Tatum as Gambit. That one wasn't fan service for us. That one was fan service for Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
That guy has been waiting so fucking long to play this character.
And as me and Brett said, it's not like they come in and die like the X-Force group from Deadpool 2.
And I was so worried that that's what they were going to do.
I would have been mad.
And I was very, very grateful that they got to shine and then just exist
Yeah.
afterwards.
The X-Force joke was good in Deadpool 2.
I have experience leading a team.
But it was okay because these were a lot of like 2-bit characters. And
they all died. It was tragic.
What did he say afterwards though? Between you and me, they actually just I can't remember what he said.
He like blames it on them or something.
Yeah, something about they weren't team players.
Yeah.
But
no. I think it was like they didn't do very good in the ratings or something.
yeah, that's what it was.
They didn't test well. I think
Yeah.
that's what he said.
But anyways, so these guys all show up, and you can just tell they're all so pumped to be in these roles
to be back.
again.
I do wish they would have gotten a name. I wish the team would have gotten a name.
They should have just called them X-Force 2.0 or something. That would have been hilarious.
X-Force 2, I think, would have been the funniest. That's what I've been calling them, like, internally.
Let's start it. X-Force 2.
You know what? We're coining it right now. X-Force 2.
So when they get saved by X-Force 2, they all band together to storm Cassandra Nova's dwelling and try to get back to their universe. But like we said, whenever these people show up, it's fucking awesome. This movie is 110, 120% all about fan service.
Oh, yeah.
But with that said,
It's damn good fan service.
yeah, I'm never going to complain about this movie's fans because dude, it's a home run, 100%. Like, it's almost like they were like, we know Hunter really likes Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Like, dude, I will say, I think Wesley Snipes' Blade, it might be one of the, like, most insane comebacks in any of these.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, probably, like, maybe even bigger than No Way Home.
Dude, in my opinion, it was just because of...
Now, I have that Spider-Man bias, so I won't say that it is, but I will say it's fucking up there.
Right.
Like, it reaches that. It's getting close.
Well, one thing that I also like about this one is that they paid respect to all these characters.
Yes.
They didn't just kill them off. They all have significant screen time in the second act. And, I mean... None of them are shown to be killed. I know Blade gets stabbed in the chest, but then we see him still fighting again.
Yeah,
later.
it's left kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
One, they all sort of get injured, and then also we don't know if Eliath eats them or not.
Right.
But even if Eliath is the way they go out, I do think that's better than like playing it for a joke, right? Because technically, with the way the Void works, Eliath would have gotten to them eventually anyway.
Right.
So... But it is left ambiguous, right? We do not see Eliath eat them. We just don't see him eat Deadpool and Wolverine.
The thing that's great, too, is they all do get played for jokes that hit, too.
Yes.
Like, Elektra, Jennifer Garner's Elektra, they do a good bit about Daredevil being dead, and he says he's sorry, and she's like, it's not, I don't care. Like, she doesn't care.
Yeah.
And then, like, the Blade jokes are great because they actually hit on Blade Trinity.
Yeah.
And you brought this up about Channing Tatum's accent in this movie. It is fucking hilarious.
And I really do wonder, because I will say, in other Gambit media, like X-Men 97,
oh yeah,
he does it hard. He does
has a
the accent hard.
accent, yes.
So I asked Hunter, I was like, had the Gambit movie with Channing Tatum come to fruition, was this the plan, or is it being exaggerated so that the jokes can be made? And I think it's a bit of both.
Yes.
I think he definitely probably would have had the accent in the Gambit movie, but I do think Channing Tatum is intentionally going way overboard with it in this movie.
Well, here's the great thing about Channing Tatum, too. He is similar to John Cena, where he has insanely underrated comedic chops. Yeah. Like, have you ever seen 21 Jump Street?
I have. I've only seen 21, and it was a long ass time ago. Dude, but I do remember enjoying
hilarious. It. Channing Tatum is a very funny person.
He has a hilarious cameo in Bullet Train.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, yeah, he does. Yes. That's right. Yes.
It is so good, man. Channing Tatum is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, shout out Channing Tatum.
Shout out Channing Tatum. He's actually in a rom-com right now called Fly Me to the Moon with Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, that's right. I won't watch it.
I haven't seen any reviews. I have no idea if that movie's good or not, but I was just...
If he's in it, it probably is.
Well, because I was about to say, where's he been? But he's like, there he is. That's where he's been. He did Fly Me to the Moon, and now he's in Deadpool.
He's Remy LeBeau. He's back.
Remy LeBeau.
But yeah, so like each of these characters get their moments to shine comedically, but also they get respected and held in high regard. And that's touched on also, like at the conclusion of the film. Very nice little thing where they show a bunch of like blooper reels from
Yes,
the Fox
a
universe.
lovely tribute to the Fox universe.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, it made me emotional.
Yeah,
it really did, because the Fox movies, because the first X-Men movie is pre-Spider-Man, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
The first X-Men movie came out in either 99 or 2000.
Yeah. So I think it was 2001.
Okay, yeah, 2000. You're right.
It's very early pre-Spider-Man. Like, it was like they were like neck and neck.
Well, I think Spider-Man was 2002, wasn't it?
Yeah. So those, like, the Fox universe has been kicking for a long time now, and it hasn't always been great.
No,
but it's like, it's still been a big part of our, we wouldn't have these Deadpool movies, and we wouldn't have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine if it was not for these Fox movies.
Right.
So it was really nice to see that, because and a lot of people online also agree that is really nice, because they could have gone the route of just shitting all over the Fox movies, been like, you guys are old news, I'm gonna go hang out with the big leagues now.
Right.
But no, they pay their respects, and it's very nice to see.
I thought it was perfectly done the way they riffed on them for comedic purposes.
Yeah.
But also held them in high regard and respectfully.
Yes.
It might have been the best aspect of this movie.
Absolutely.
And that segues perfectly into writing and screenplay, the way this was wrote. I think we basically already talked about all we need to talk about with that as far as the jokes. This movie is typical Deadpool humor, and I love the way they brought all of these other characters into the film. And there's even more actual cameos later in the movie, like with the Deadpool core.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds himself makes like a cameo as Nicepool. But we also get like Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool. And they're more of actual cameos where they have short screen time.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse, yes. The way this movie comes across in the third act, and I guess that's part of the production and direction too, we get several really great fight sequences in this movie. I think we have at least, like 4 or 5 of them?
Yes.
And a lot of them are really good. The final act, there's a big fight sequence where the Deadpool Corps goes and fights Wolverine and Deadpool, and it's really cool. I think it's well choreographed and well done. The only problem is it's the one moment in the movie where the CGI really starts to
they ran out of budget,
wear
hard
down.
for that fight.
I think that it could have been done better. If they'd have used some things practically that they really just should have
been so easy
to begin with.
Been so easy.
But I guess they didn't. And B, there's some tricks that you can do. Like, so what I'm alluding to is Wolverine dons his mask in the last 5-10 minutes of the movie for this big epic fight sequence, and it's cool, like I said, but it's during like a well lit daytime street, and
the mask is entirely CGI.
Yeah, it looks okay. Yeah, I didn't say that. It's entirely CGI.
Looks really fucking bad.
Well, a lot of the fight sequence is CGI. After they're done fighting and they go to the subway entrance, Hugh Jackman himself is entirely like CGI. Like, he just looks terrible.
Well, I will say, so the mask is very obviously CGI, and it doesn't look great. And then they take the fight onto a bus. And then they bust out the back window, and Deadpool looks fine. They've always been really good at just making a fully CGI Deadpool look good.
Yeah.
Most noticeably, even in the test footage, right, where everything was CGI,
right,
Deadpool still looked great.
Good, yeah.
That I don't know what it is. I saw this in a YouTube video recently. I'm not going to claim this sentence and thought as my own. I don't remember what video it was or who actually said this, but I'm just putting it out there that this is not original. But I just agree. The Deadpool like character design just lends itself super well for some reason to being fully CG.
It really does.
Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, on the other hand, is doing like, and it's sort of a double-edged sword, because he's doing like a really cool like Wolverine-ass pose, but he just looks like shit.
He does not look like his arms and legs
have bones in them. It's so strange.
It does not look like
it's so strange. Also, it's up for debate right now on Twitter whether or not the mask ever becomes a physical prop. I do not believe it does. I think there are parts where it looks a lot better.
I think whenever they go underground in lower lighting, you know, it looks almost real.
But I don't, and maybe there we would need set photos, or we would need someone to come forward and confirm this. But as far as I can tell, that mask is not once real or something that exists.
You've been onto that for a while too.
Yeah. But there are points where it looks good, but when it first, and it kind of, and I like the moment more now, but that's sort of like when my like doubts started. Like when he pulled it up, I was like I couldn't even be excited because it looked so bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't even like appreciate the moment because of how bad it looked on him in like its full CGI form. I've now, of course, since, I've sort of gotten over it a little bit, but it's also just, it's one of those things where it's like, why $200 million movie?
Yeah.
You couldn't play. There are people that can 3D print one for $5 and it looks just as fucking good, and you can't.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean,
$1 billion movie can't get us a mask. Disneyland, the guy at Disneyland has a practical mask. He looks phenomenal. The Disneyland Wolverine suit is fucking gorgeous.
I haven't seen it.
They gave him, I tweeted about it. You can check my feed.
I will check.
They gave him a mask. Couldn't get one for Hugh. I don't get it. It's one of those things where it's just kind of lazy.
Well, I want to say this too. I keep like leaning to the side of my mic. I will say this too. There were moments throughout this movie that it was almost like there was some quick editing jobs done. There was some quite a bit of noticeable what do you
ADR.
ADR. There was at least 2 or 3 sequences where it was noticeable ADR. So something got edited out there. Mm-hmm. And then it's almost like some of these action sequences that do look really good and are well choreographed. There is excessive CGI blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or out of nowhere, it becomes a super CGI action sequence that really didn't need to be for one scene. And then it goes back to, live action.
Yeah.
So I think some of that is the fault of the editing department and the way this movie was edited to be released.
On another note, for the editing, there are some scenes that are just like edited bafflingly. Just like way too many cuts, way too quickly into shots that are of nothing.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about specifically and where I really noticed it, and I was like, I'm going to talk about this one. The first X-Force 2 fight scene, when they first start the raid,
yeah,
there's 17 cuts per second that just cut to just a person's feet.
Yeah.
You can't even really tell who's fighting who for a good 3 minutes before they widen out and then everyone gets their moment to shine. And I just thought that was so weird and it looked really bad.
You're right. It really was weird because you don't see that much throughout the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Either. None of the other fight scenes are edited like that.
Everything else is pretty well choreographed.
Just the first introduction of X-Force 2 when they start their big raid, it's just like that scene of Liam Neeson climbing the fence.
It's like a 28 cuts or something.
It's cut like that, and it's baffling because it comes out of nowhere. Yeah. So very interested to know what happened there. What were you cutting around in that moment that we were cutting to jobbers' feet instead of actual
jobbers' feet? I think that somebody took this thing to the chop shop pretty heftily for the theatrical release, to its detriment. With that said, I'm not familiar with Shawn Levy's work previously. I think that I do like this movie, and I like the way that he put things together for this. But I think a lot of that is just due to other people, though, being involved. Specifically, guys like Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. I know that Ryan Reynolds is an executive producer, and I also believe that it was still written. The screenplay was done by Rhett Reese.
There are 6 people on this screenplay.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this, didn't we?
It's Ryan Reynolds, Rhett Reese, Zeb Wells is in there. He writes for Spider-Man right now, and no one likes it.
I was going to say Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, they wrote the other 2.
Yes.
So, which is good, which I think is a big reason why this movie works well.
Yeah, and on the topic of Shawn Levy's direction, it's kind of hard to judge Shawn Levy's direction because his 3 most major projects so far have been Ryan Reynolds written and produced.
Yeah.
So it's how much work is Shawn really doing here?
Who really gets the credit?
How much work is Shawn Levy really doing on these things, you know?
Right.
So that's definitely. And then again, like with this movie specifically, it's like, oh, well, Hugh Jackman's great in it. It's like, you know, you need a great director for a performance like that. It's like, not Hugh. He's been doing this for 20 fucking years. He doesn't need a director for this shit, you know? Yeah. So it's like, it's hard to gauge. But for what it is, you know, it's good. So, you know, however much of that you can attribute to Shawn Levy, you know, credit where it's due, give it to him. It's just hard to gauge from an outside perspective, you know, just how much work he's actually doing on these things.
I do like that it kind of stays on par also with the first two films where it's got some moments of heart and it's not super sappy. Deadpool 2 had a couple super sappy moments that I did not think vibed
that did
well.
not work great.
Yeah. The first one wasn't as bad. The second one brought me down. This one has some sappy moments, but they're not played for that hopeless romantic type vibe. It's almost like, these are my friends, and I don't, you know what I mean? I love my friends.
I think at least on Deadpool's end, I think his, you know, the heart of his time in this film is done really well.
I think that this is more of a guys being dudes type love.
Yes.
And I can vibe with that.
I really do love the line, you know, my entire world is right here in this picture, and I don't know how to help them, but you do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a lot of experience saving worlds.
And then Wolvie comes through.
Yeah, and he does because, you know, he's never the right guy until he is.
Yeah, great line.
Fantastic line. I will say, the writing in this movie, it hits.
Yes, it slaps.
When it hits hard. This movie is extremely, at least dialogue-wise, I will say, this movie is extremely well written.
Brett, before we close out here to give our final ratings, I know that there's something huge you want to talk about that we haven't discussed, and it is the overarching, where is this going? Yeah,
so I was just going to, because this one's kind of hard to like fit into our like sections.
Yeah.
Because there's just like so much going on, and this movie is sort of structured a little strangely.
Well, when I put these sections on here, it's really just to help guide us.
Yeah, so I was going to use my conclusion to just like get out everything else that I couldn't fit into a specific section.
Go ahead.
So we've been very positive so far, and there's a lot to be positive about.
Right.
But I did have a decent few problems with this movie overall. I'm not as harsh on those problems now as I was when I first got out of the theater. You can ask Hunter. We got out of the theater, and I was struggling with my own emotions.
I felt like I had to talk him away from the ledge.
He did. I was very conflicted on this movie when I came out of it. I was like, because I didn't want to dislike it, but my heart was telling me that I did. Right.
Your qualms were not unwarranted.
So I came out of the movie and I was like, I don't think I liked it that much. And then, but like every other part of my body was like, no, that can't be. That can't be. And it wasn't. I like this movie. I like this movie a lot, actually. I've come back from that ledge. But there is still a lot of stuff to harp on. And so I'm going to take the time to do that here. You can join in whenever, because I don't want to talk for,
Go ahead.
My absolute biggest problem with this movie is the plot, is the story. Like I clarified a few seconds ago, the dialogue in this movie is incredibly well written. The story of this movie, I think, is done very poorly. And that could be a mixture of bad writing, and also, you know, I take responsibility for maybe not tempering my expectations enough. Mm-hmm. But I will say, the way this movie was marketed to us is Deadpool coming to the MCU. This movie was supposed to bridge the gap between the Fox universe and the MCU. And folks, I don't care how you slice it, that does not happen in this film.
Yeah.
If you think about all the MCU related things that happen in this movie, he talks to Happy Hogan about joining the Avengers. That is the end of the list. This movie absolutely could have been a Fox movie.
I don't think you can even consider the TVA stuff.
No, not really, because technically in universe it exists outside of, you know, so obviously they couldn't use the TVA if they did this in the Fox universe.
Right.
But Cable's time machine works pretty much the same way.
Yeah.
It could have been a different organization.
Yeah.
Right? This movie, and I think maybe that may be what had happened. I think maybe there was a point in time where this movie was written for the Fox universe, then the merger happened, and they were like, oh, now we can use the MCU stuff. But then they didn't do that. This movie does not introduce Deadpool or Wolverine to the MCU. This movie uses the MCU as maybe a backlight to just tell a fun adventure story.
I think Disney was very wary and cautious of how they wanted to do this.
And I that is very fair. That is not something I actually thought about.
I think,
but when you say that, it is absolutely, I can see that.
I think if Disney had more success in the last 2 years, I think if Kang was still around, and not saying Kang would even have to be in this, I'm just saying if Disney had the success it was used to with the Marvel Cinematic Universe of old, if they'd have had that same success in the last 2 years, they may have been a lot less apprehensive to include the next phase, you know, the next characters for the MCU.
But so it's just one of those things where it's like it was marketed this way, and we were all super excited to see what they were going to do with Deadpool and Wolverine in the MCU.
Yeah,
how they were going to handle that change, that merger, and the answer is they did not.
Yeah,
the Fox and that's what makes the tribute to the Fox universe a little strange, right? It's nice and it was beautiful. What are we paying tribute to?
Yeah.
The Fox universe has remained untouched. It has not gone anywhere.
How long has it been since they got all the rights for the mutant stuff?
It's been a while.
And they've done
It's
nothing
been a good
with it.
few years. Yeah, it took them a while to well, I mean, I guess that's not because once you get the rights, you do have to, the projects take time.
Oh yeah,
to
it's
put
like
it in
anything
production.
else, legalities.
But yeah, so it's been a while. So just that core principle of the movie not being what they said it was going to be was very strange.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of hollow. It rings hollow in the end because it's like, okay, well, what has changed?
Yeah.
The status quo has remained unaltered, right? Which would have been fine had we not gone into it expecting, to know a little bit more about what their plan is for the mutants in the MCU.
I think disappointment is the best word to use because that was maybe the biggest draw for this movie was how
are they going to make this work?
Well, how cool is it going to be to see Deadpool interact with just name an MCU character, man?
And there weren't even that many MCU related jokes. They made a lot of jokes about Kevin Feige specifically, just like the man.
Yeah.
And we do get one scene where there's only one scene where Deadpool directly interacts with an Avenger, and it is on a TV screen, and we don't get to know.
It's like 20 seconds long.
The big joke is that we don't get to know what that's all about.
Yeah.
And it's a funny joke. I laughed. It was good, but it's just strange. It rings hollow, and it was a little bit disappointing that they didn't do more with the merger.
It would have been so much cooler if the final act of this movie we got a big reveal of Sam Wilson shows up,
exactly, or even if they did like they did in Peacemaker, where the Justice League,
or somebody,
or like
somebody,
just anybody. They put Falcon and Ant-Man. Just something. And again, we see Ant-Man. Oh, but it's his corpse. Couldn't get Paul Rudd in here. Paul Rudd can't be here.
How fun would Paul Rudd be in a Deadpool movie?
And again, the Ant-Man corpse was a great idea. I think that's a really cool idea and a really cool setting.
It was
for their base. That was neat. But they just this was Marvel Studios Deadpool and Wolverine. All right, we're with the big leagues now. And if you took out everything MCU related in this movie, the movie would not change. It could have been a Fox movie, which is not a bad thing, but it's just strange that it was marketed so heavily to be this big change in status. But even outside of that, I do have just other standalone problems with the story. Quite a few, actually. The biggest one being anchor beings are fucking stupid and don't make any sense.
Yeah.
I like on paper, I like that concept, right? Oh, well, there's one being in a universe that's so integral that when they go away,
it's going to kill the universe.
The universe crumbles. That's cool. That's a cool concept. And I do like thinking about like, oh, well, what would the main 616 anchor being be? The correct answer would be Tony Stark. But obviously we know that's not true.
You are Harrison Ford, aren't you? You don't care about anchor beings.
But my big thing with it is so Logan was the anchor being of the Fox universe. That's a cool idea. He died in Logan. And now the universe is dying. One, Logan takes place so far in the future. Why does Logan dying in the future killing Deadpool's universe now? There is no fucking way Deadpool 2 takes place after Logan. That doesn't make any sense. Because Logan is a post-apocalyptic... We know Logan is the end of that timeline. So Logan dying and then the universe dissipating after 1,000 years makes sense. Why is it dying right now, in the present? Logan shouldn't have died yet. Oh, but Deadpool can go to his grave.
Have you ever seen the movie...
it doesn't make sense.
Have you ever seen the movie Austin Powers?
No, I haven't.
So... Actually, I think it's the sequel, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Mm-hmm. There's a sequence in that movie where he has to travel back in time to get his mojo back.
Oh, okay.
And whenever he's getting ready to travel back in time, he's talking to his confidant, Basil, and saying, now, if I travel back in time, isn't that going to rearrange some of the things that will happen in the future that we're living in right now and cause pure chaos and could interrupt the entire world and time as we know it? And then there's a fourth wall break where Basil turns and looks at the camera and says, "It's better if you don't think of that and just have fun."
and that is why that I have.
Well, I'm just letting you know that is kind of where my thought process is going to go.
And that is why I've pulled back a lot of being so harsh with my original criticisms when I came out of it. Me touching on them here. Spoiler alert. Most of this stuff does not affect the score that I'm going to give this movie, but it is stuff I want to point out that kind of bugged me.
It does need to be brought up.
Yeah.
People cannot go in thinking this is the next Infinity War Endgame or something. Because
so that was just, that whole thing is strange. But again, double-edged sword, because we get that phenomenal opening sequence of him using Logan's skeleton as a weapon.
Yeah.
And that is not only so funny, but it looks sick. I think it's a great idea.
I know I keep talking about fight choreography, but it goes without saying the dance choreography was amazing too.
Yes.
Shout out NSYNC.
Shout out NSYNC. Did you see that they changed the name?
Yeah.
And now it says from Deadpool.
Yeah, on their official YouTube.
Yeah, like that's what they wrote it for.
Yeah.
So that's a bit strange. I don't like the shift. I praised it earlier of Cassandra Nova just being in it for the fun of it. But it is a very abrupt choice to just like end the fucking world. Like she's just like, you know what? I think everyone should be dead. I'm gonna erase the entire universe now. Hope we're all okay with that.
Yeah. Because literally after she had Doctor Strange's sparkly MCU magic ring, I was like, so is she just going to be reintroduced further down the line?
I thought she was done.
I thought maybe an anti-hero at some point. I don't know.
I thought maybe we were now just going after Paradox, and then that was going to wrap us up. But then she was like, nope, we need more stakes, so I'm going to come murder fucking everybody.
And that comes to, so I watched Jeremy John's review of it, and he really didn't like the fact that the first movie is so great because the stakes are on a smaller scale.
Yes.
More human,
yes.
know? And
a very personal movie, that one.
This does the same thing that a lot of more recent MCU movies do, where it's just like the entire universe is just done.
Listen, everyone's like, oh, I'm so glad we've moved away from the giant blue beam into space. Yeah. No, we haven't. Yeah, they've just stopped making it so obvious. Yeah. Right? Cassandra Nova's decision at the end of this movie is a giant blue beam into space. It's the same concept. And like I said, I do like a villain whose motivations are just fuck it, I'm evil, but it does, I don't know, it's just kind of weird. It's a bit sudden, and it's literally only there to give us something bigger to fight.
Yeah.
When I considered her threat neutralized. I was like, okay, she was a secondary antagonist to Paradox. We've dealt with the secondary antagonist. Let's go get our big bad guy. Like, if Paradox had been like, well, if I can't erase this universe, I'll erase all of them, right? If it had been him, I don't think I would care as much. But her coming out of nowhere and being like, well, actually, I'm going to ruin everything now is just kind of a weird choice, in my opinion. I'm trying to think. That those are my three biggest problems with the story. One, it doesn't go anywhere. Two, the anchor being stuff and just timeline shenanigans in general don't make a ton of sense. And I think Cassandra should have been done after she was already done. In terms of just like pacing, I think it's paced really well. Again, just right up until that third act. The third act of this movie is absolutely, bar none, the weakest part of the entire package.
100% agree.
I think the Deadpool core was a little too late, right? Like, they're introduced in passing by Nicepool, who's like, oh, well, you got to watch out for the Deadpool core. And I thought we were going to encounter them in our Void journey.
Yeah, and it never happened.
And they were either going to be our friends or we were going to fight them. Mm-hmm. And they try to make it this big endgame moment, but then as quickly as they arrive, they are dealt with. And it's like, all right, well, that was a really cool fight scene. You know, some interesting creative stuff going on there. Yeah. But just like, you know, I stopped caring about the Deadpool core an hour ago, you know, because, and also they put like some of the core Deadpool core members on so much of the merch. You can get a baby pool, fucking drink cup. There's t-shirts that have Deadpool, Kid Pool, Lady Pool, like all like posing together and being so cool. Yes. Yeah. Kid Pool has one line. Baby Pool has, I think, 4 frames where it exists at all.
Yeah, it's just like a CGI
before disappearing. Head Pool is Nathan Fillion, which is fun. But again, huge missed opportunity. I don't know how no one on the creative team came up with the idea for Head Pool to be the decapitated head of Origins Deadpool.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious.
So perfect. And he was just there to be there.
Well, listen, I'm going to defend Deadpool core for one reason alone, because when Lady Pool says it's Uzi time, baby, I need that as a soundbite.
It's Uzi time, baby did go hard. Again, a lot of the dialogue fucks hard, but
I turned into butter in my seat and melted onto the floor.
Yeah.
Didn't even have to see her face.
Yeah.
I mean, she just looked great.
So that
sounded great.
Again, the name of the game for the third act of this movie is disappointment. I think the Deadpool core was disappointing. I think Hugh's mask being fully CGI was disappointing. And I think the way our story wrapped up was disappointing. Aside from that, one more minor nitpick. This isn't even like a negative. I just wanted to say it on the show and see if you had noticed. During Deadpool's search for the perfect Wolverine to replace the old one with and go on this adventure with, we do a bit of universe hopping where we get to see a bunch of different versions of Wolverine. We get a patch. We get a comic accurate Short King, which looked fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. We get the mythic Cavalrine. Henry Cavill. They got fucking Henry Cavill to do a 30-second cameo in this movie as well. And he looked good, man. He looked damn good.
And like they even like went as far to harp on DC too. Like, we'll treat you better than the guys down the street.
Yeah, like, great. I will say, of the 3, I think I need to rewatch the first 2 and then watch this one to like make a fair comparison. But just like gut reaction, I do think this might be the funniest of the trilogy.
Yeah, I think I would agree.
Definitely the funniest. But in this group of Wolverine, we get to see, and Patch is there, and they're all Henry Cavill. No, sorry, they're all Hugh Jackman except for Henry Cavill. Little bit disappointing there too. I would have preferred if we got a little bit more fan service with the fan cast, but again, I understand how that could have inflated the budget a little bit. But if we could have gotten a Taron Egerton in there as one of them, or a Daniel Radcliffe, I think that would have been really nice. But you know, beggars can't be choosers. Henry Cavill was really cool. I thought that was really fun. Then we get to see a gorgeous suit guy here. Gorgeous rendition of the yellow and brown.
Yeah.
The yellow and brown suit looked phenomenal.
Yeah.
But that brings me to my little nitpick here. He goes, oh, isn't that the suit you fought the Hulk in? And then the Hulk shows up and he hits Deadpool and it's like, oh my God, the fucking Hulk. That is not the fucking suit he fought the Hulk in. What are you talking about? The suit he fought the Hulk in was the blue and yellow. It was his first appearance.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
Wolverine's first appearance was fighting the Hulk. I believe it was in a Hulk comic, and it's just the tiger stripes. And I'm sure you can get granular and you're like, well, actually, in Uncanny X-Men number 75, he does wear the yellow and brown to fight the Hulk. You know damn well that is not what he meant. The only thing we associate Wolverine fighting the Hulk with is his first appearance, and he is not wearing the yellow and brown.
Well, my mind went to, wasn't he on Planet Hulk in Old Man Logan?
No, the Hulk gang just like was a big part of that world. I will say, comic accurate Old Man Logan was really fucking cool. He looked great.
Yeah, when he was on the chair.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But again, he does not wear a suit in that comic book when he fights the Hulk then either. He's just got the cowboy outfit.
That's what I was saying. It still wasn't
the suit. Still wasn't that suit. No times, as far as I'm aware, no major times where Wolverine has fought the Hulk has it been in the brown and yellow.
That classic brown and yellow looked good, though.
And it's like, why even bring up, why even write that line in if you're not going to have the right suit, right? It could have been two separate. You could have had, I was thinking about it on the drive here. You could have had, because a big thing that comic book movies like to do when they want to make fun of a classic suit is just like do it like too accurate, like they did in Captain America, where it's just like the cloth like pajamas that like have the design. You could have done that, and then done the joke the same way, and it would have been even funnier because it would have been like a shitty version of his first appearance suit, and then just put the yellow and brown suit in a different, just add one more where he's in the yellow and brown. It was just like, again, this does not matter. I'm not docking points because it's the wrong suit, but it's just like, why even mention it if it's gonna be the wrong suit?
Well, like I said, I didn't realize it was the wrong suit in general anyway. But
gorgeous fucking suit, the yellow and brown. It looked great. I kind of almost wish he wore that one for most of the movie.
I
get why they didn't, and the blue and yellow is still. As Hunter knows, I love that suit. I was wearing it when we saw the movie.
I thought in general everybody looked great.
Everyone looked great.
Yeah.
Your Taylor's a predator, by the way.
Yeah. That part had me cracking up, dude.
Really, really good stuff. But yeah, so definitely, and I will say, on the topic of all of this, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman put out like a PSA like a few months ago, and they were like, guys, we're not winning any awards for this shit. You know why you're here. And to an extent, I get that, but I think they kind of even like went too like far with that, right? Because it's like no one was expecting like Oscar bait, but even then, it's like we went in with low expectations, and I feel like they were still like under the bar with the plot aspect of things, in my opinion.
Well, I think that you're correct in saying that, only because of what the ramifications ended up being after the third act.
Yeah, which were none. No ramifications.
Exactly. This movie came and went and did not affect the MCU whatsoever.
But, obviously, positives. The fights are great. Mm-hmm. Both Deadpool versus... I don't think we needed to. I get why. But the first one especially, when Hugh Jackman starts running on all goddamn fours, we lost our fucking minds,
dude.
And
they say that. He literally breaks the fourth wall and says, this is what you came for.
Get out your special socks, nerds.
Yeah.
Which Dad thought that was the funniest fucking line he's ever heard in a movie.
Dude, it was peak, man. That fight scene was
the first
awesome.
fight with Deadpool and Wolverine is maybe one of the best comic book movie fight scenes.
Yeah.
And then the second one was also really good. I wasn't a huge fan of like being confined to the car. Like, I get it.
I thought it was cool. I liked it.
I liked it more when they would like pop out of the car. I think we spent too much time in it.
Well, I thought it was great for the joke of the Honda Odyssey is actually a pretty badass van.
Yes.
So, no, I really liked that one too. And then, like you said, after the shitty schlocky part of the X-Force 2 fight scene, we got to see each member shine.
Yeah, they each get a moment to do some badass stuff.
Gambit's the sickest, man.
Gambit's got his staff, dude.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Well, I really liked when it was almost like he had like detonating mines on his cards. He hit like 4 different dudes and then went boom, boom. Yeah, and then they all exploded.
Yeah, it was that stuff was great. The action in this movie, Shawn Levy. Say what you want about his plots, because again, I don't like Free Guy, but some of the action in Free Guy is pretty fun, right? And then a lot of the action in the Atom Project is really fun too. The man knows how to do flashy action.
That's awesome.
And nothing needs to be said about the opening fight scene. There is no words that we can give that will do it justice.
Yeah,
that phenomenal.
This movie starts on a 10 out of 10.
Yes. This movie comes out swinging, and it is amazing. I think that's okay. Sorry. Last thing that I have to say, and just because again, it's one of those things that we couldn't really fit anywhere else because he wasn't major enough to talk about in character. But Chris Evans is in this movie as Human Torch.
I was gonna bring it up.
Yeah,
it's like, damn, we didn't talk about it.
I didn't mean to take him from you. I'm sorry.
No,
I just didn't want us to forget.
You're doing better than me because I was literally gonna be like, oh yeah, and by the way, Chris Evans is in this movie.
Chris Evans is in this movie, back as the Human Torch. I was so fucking excited. We all were pretty sure of like if anyone was gonna be here, it was probably like we were gonna get at least one member of the Fantastic Four. And he's so funny, man. Chris Evans is another one who is very severely underrated in his comedic ability.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim specifically, he is hilarious in that movie.
Yeah, he is.
And he comes back and he does really good work here as Johnny Storm. That whole bit where Deadpool is, for what we believe for most of the movie, to be framing him for shit-talking Cassandra Nova. And then we get our post-credit stinger where he really did say all that stuff. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Thinking about that is still one of the funniest moments in that entire movie.
That was a very well executed joke.
Yes. Masterful execution of that joke. Because the whole movie, I was like, why did he do that to him?
Yeah.
Why would he do that? That's so mean. Like, Deadpool's mean, but that was just cruel. Why did he do that? And then we get the reveal that he said all of it, like, to comedic, like, accuracy. I don't care if she rips off all my skin and leaves me as a pile of gushing organs on the ground. Go on.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Gotcha, fucker. That is masterful. That's like set up and payoff alone might be what puts it over the edge as being the funniest of these three movies.
Yeah, maybe.
And that is all I have to say about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
Anything you'd like to add?
I think you covered it.
I'm sorry.
No, just to reflect what you said about the third act, I do think it is pretty disappointing in how this ends up affecting the MCU in the future, which is it doesn't at all. With that said, I like to look at this movie as, did I have a good time? I had a great time. I especially had a great time getting to watch it with you and your dad, fellow people that just love fan service.
Yes.
You know, and this movie is that's what it is. It's trying to harken back to the Fox universe and remind you that there was a lot of good stuff that came from that. I thought that pretty much everybody was funny whenever they were given time to shine, and I thought the action was great. I'm probably going to give this a 7.5 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's way lower than I thought.
Well, I wanted to go 8, but just in general, like 7.5 is not a bad score.
No, not at all. But that's just lower than I thought you were going to give it.
You know, it's a very funny movie, and it satisfies a lot of things. It just really could have been over the top if that last half hour of the movie we could have gotten what we wanted.
Yeah, we led somewhere a little more substantial.
Give us the next thing with the Fantastic Four, or give us the next thing with the X-Men. Give us the next thing with the Avengers. Yeah. Something. We needed something to see if we will get more Deadpool in the future.
Yeah.
Which I think we should.
And what are they doing with Hugh, right? I thought this was going to be another send-off, but instead of being like a sappy Western send-off, it was going to be like in his prime, you know, badass send-off, but like,
which they had the prime opportunity to do so.
Yeah, but again, they didn't. He's still around. He just lives with Deadpool now. So it's like, is Hugh going to be doing this till he's 90, or are we getting new X-Men? Like, what's going on?
Right.
And also, again, and this is a big, we made light of it earlier. I do think the lack of Domino in this movie is criminal. She was the best, one of, if not the best part of Deadpool 2. So to not have even a mention of her, or even just like an appearance or anything about Domino.
We even got a mention of Cable.
Yeah, they mention, they like blow off Cable and like a throwaway line. They don't even mention Domino. And Zazie Beetz Domino is phenomenal. All of her sections in that movie, and like just her performance, all of her sections, she is fantastic. So I do think she was a huge loss. But that was it. That was the last thing I was going to say. My closing thoughts. This is another one of those movies that really needs 2 scores to be properly represented. In terms of like hooting and hollering, because again, I love the fan service. I was there screaming at the top of my lungs at the shit I was supposed to be screaming at.
Right. Yeah.
Like the payoff was phenomenal.
Right.
Entertainment wise, this is a 10 out of 10 movie. But as a whole package, you know, what we went into it hoping for, and just, you know, some of the just pitfalls of being this type of movie, you know, some, like, there are, I will say, Maybe the MCU aspects of this movie were the dip in quality.
You're probably right, to be honest.
Maybe that's what we got out of it being in the MCU.
Had this just been the final Fox release, it would have been like, yeah, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, right. It would have been held to a much, maybe. But I agree. I think it's funny that we do this so often. We reach the same conclusion in different ways.
Yeah.
My score is also a 7.5. Maybe a stock 7. But I had such a good time with it. I'm gonna give it the 0.5 just on merit.
Yeah.
It's a fun time. You're gonna have an amazing, especially if you watch this with friends, especially if you watch it in a crowded theater, and especially if you're watching it for the first time. This is an experience like no other.
Yeah, see, I can't wait to show Alyssa this movie. I know she'll laugh and enjoy it.
Yeah, but and that was something I didn't have time to bring up, and I'm not gonna harp on it too often here. I'm not sure how Kaylee will like it, right? Because again, you take away the main story is so weak, in my opinion. You take away those fan service elements, what are you left with?
Right.
What's there to chew on for someone who doesn't give a fuck about Wesley Snipes as Blade? Mm-hmm. So that's going to be interesting to see, and I do think that's why reviews are so mixed right now. You're either seeing 7s or you're seeing 10s, and I think us, being on the scale of like the people who are giving it 10s, we're giving it 10s in entertainment for the same reasons, but we also we also like our movies to be like movies that stand on their own. So I definitely think we're in the middle of that battle there. So I think 7 out of 10 is 7.5 is a perfect score for this one.
Yeah, see, and I just fluctuate just a little bit on the higher side, 7.5, 8 maybe. So
yeah,
but 7.5 out of 10. Hell
yeah, great time.
We do. We go opposite ends of the track.
Yeah, but we make it work in the end. Definitely the weakest of the trilogy, in my opinion.
I need to rewatch 2 and see how I feel about 2 again.
I'm just so biased on 1. Like, that's a 10 out of 10 movie for me.
Yeah,
the first Deadpool is a 10 out of 10 movie. Deadpool 2, I think, for me, is an 8.75.
Ooh. Okay.
Maybe 8.5. And then this one, we're sitting at a 7.5.
I've got some recency bias with this one right now. I really loved Wesley Snipes.
Dude, no, and I it's phenomenal.
I mean, I've told you in the past how much I love all 3 Blade movies, even Trinity. I know it is, the worst one or whatever, but I love all of them. So.
Oh yeah, and guys, Wesley Snipes says the thing. He says the thing in this movie.
Yeah, some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Some motherfuckers are still always trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah.
Badass, dude.
Yeah, he is. He's badass.
And I love that he's rocking the white and the goatee. I think that's a good look for him.
He aged like a fine wine.
He did, man.
Still got like the high fade, flat top haircut.
Wesley Snipes carries.
For
Hugh
sure.
Jackman carries.
He let him hang.
But Wesley Snipes was so fucking cool to see.
So 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Brett, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, I'll get us out of here. Guys, if you'd like to follow us anywhere for more of our cherished opinions, you can find us on most socials at Real Rendezvous, spelled as it always has been. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's actually on the screen. So help our Spotify listeners out and send it to them.
Yeah, get involved with the community.
Yeah, follow us, leave a comment, suggest things. You know the deal. We love you, and we love to hear from you. I really do love getting comments.
That's awesome.
When people comment, it's so fun because I love to respond to them. Hunter makes fun of me when I sign off which one of us is talking.
No, it's actually nice. I do like that because our opinions aren't always the same.
They're not. That's why I don't want to speak for both of us at the same time. I got to make sure people know it's me.
This is the kind of movie that invokes a lot of conversation, so I hope to hear from you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree. Let us know if you disagree. And most importantly, love each other.
Yeah. ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Okay.
It's from a movie.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What is that?
Flint Tropics, Jackie Moon, Semi-Pro, Will Ferrell.
You got there. It took a few beats, but you made it. I couldn't
quite remember it, but anyways, you guys have a nice day.
Okay, bye guys.
Catch you next time.
Love you.